just helps so everyone can understand everyone, and that there's not like weird background noises, because we get that everyone's in their house and you can't control what other people are doing in your house. And try to pay attention to the main meeting, try to minimize private conversations, private chats, stuff like that. Make sure you're paying attention because we're talking about pretty important stuff. So in terms of communication outside Zoom, it's really, really important that you check your Slack. So if you are not in the Slack yet, let us know and we'll make sure you're set up with that. That is our current main form of communication, and it's where most of the meetings, outside meetings, will be set up, and we'll divvy up tasks and stuff like that in Slack. Make sure that if your curriculum teams are deciding that there's work to be done outside, and there definitely will be, that you're doing that work. If you have a problem with that, then make sure that you're honest with what you can do. We understand this at the end of the year and there's a lot of stuff to do. I have a lot of finals that I have to study for, but just make sure that everyone's like honest with how much work you can do, and it's really okay if you need to cut back. We understand. Also, Slack is the main form of communication. We want to make sure that people know that. But if within your curriculum teams, if you need to create some form of communication or like set up times that you know that someone's working, or like have specific goals, make sure that your curriculum team is talking about that too.
All right, Leah, that was a lot, and that was really great.
Sorry,
Can you put it in the
yes.
chat so folks can also look over it, and then we'll give folks like a couple minutes to look over it, see if they agree with some of these things, if they want to add on to some of these things as well. That would be really great. And we can collectively agree to it.
I haven't had much communication, honestly, obviously, because I'm sitting at home doing nothing every day. So.
All right. So you copied it into the chat? All right, folks should be able to see it. So let's give this until 5:21 for y'all to look over it. Put directly into the chat your thoughts on it, because I can't see it right now. And Leah, could you please read them out as people agree, disagree, or add on to what's on there? Mm-hmm.
My time is off on my computer, so it's not actually 5:21, it's like 4:30, so
I'm weak. I'm weak.
I want to go back in time to 4:30. I want your clock, Leah.
I don't know what's going on with my computer.
Well, it's 5:20.
Actually, can your clock take us back to 2015?
I wish.
Can it do that? That'd be great. This year sucks.
Maybe your computer's in like Pacific time or like Mountain time, like some like old Western time.
Possibly. It's also just, it's not 4:21. Like it's not an hour behind, or I don't know. I think I like made it a custom time to take a video or something, and I never changed it back.
That's kind of funny.
All right, folks. Well, it is now 5:21. I still cannot see the chat at the moment because I'm multitasking on my laptop, but has anyone disagreed or agreed or suggested changes to some of these community agreements?
No, I agree.
Awesome.
Kat and Shakina both said they agree, but asked to resend the Slack link. Do we have the Slack link that we could put in the chat?
Yes, of course. Shakina and who?
And Isabella is joining this group today. Welcome, Isabella.
Okay, so we have new members. That's so great.
Yes, but we'll need the Slack.
Yes, let me do that right now.
We have fresh blood.
I'm weak. Fresh blood.
Welcome to the cult.
Not a cult.
You know, cult is the first 4 letters of culture. So, you know, there's a little cult in every strong culture.
Okay. copy that and put that into the chat real quick. Okay, so without further ado, if all folks are on the same page with these community agreements, I wish there was some way we could sign them all. Oh, I can see your faces, Isabel. Yeah, welcome. Now that this is no longer in tiny
And
form.
Isabella, do you go by Bella? Yes. So Bella.
Okay.
Maybe
Bella.
rename yourself so people, know. And that might be true for everyone. If there's anything that you want to change, does everyone know how you can go up into like the little 3 dots and change your name?
Okay. So, Kelly, do you want to lead us through the second part of our agenda?
Okay, so can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so what we figured out like last leadership meeting was that like not everyone like were in the groups like they needed to be in, and like the groups weren't really even. So we're gonna like go over the groups again, groups that they want to be in, and everyone can choose 2 groups. And after today, after today's meeting, you guys should decide when to meet regularly, like out of like the big Zoom calls, and you like the work could get done, and that it's like divided as evenly as possible, because we know for some people it won't be possible to do as much because these are some really busy times. So, oh, and one member of the group should report back on Slack by Friday.
All right. Well, Kakali, you were breaking up a little bit, so just to clarify some of what you were saying, Kakali was basically saying that we are jumping right into our research, the research part of our campaign, and some of us have not been assigned curriculum topics as new folks are joining in and all that fun stuff. So I'm actually going to share my screen and show you all the curriculum topics again, so that you can assign yourselves. It is recommended that you choose at least 2 curriculum topics, no more than that, because that's going to be quite a lot on your plate. Each curriculum topic has at least 1 person from the leadership team on it. And within your curriculum team, is what we're calling them, you all will have to decide what your form of communication will be to get some of your research done and reach some of our deadlines. Which is going to come later on in this agenda today. So once you all are in communication with the folks that are on your team, and I will make sure for folks that are just joining the Slack, when you join Slack, we did a whole like Slack tutorial, but if you need one, let me know and I'll walk you through it. But once you've joined Slack, there is this section on Slack called Files, which has all of the documents that are relevant to this campaign. And one of the files is called the centralized PowerPoint document, which is the document that will house everything that has to do with the curriculum that we're building. So that's where you would be able to easily find it. Why else did I mention it? You know what, let me just actually share my screen to show you what I'm talking about. Hey. Oh, I should. Oh, there we go. Okay. To Kelly, I think we hear the helicopter outside your window again.
Oh my God.
All right, can y'all see my very crowded screen? Can I get a thumbs up?
Close the tabs.
Oh, there's so many.
That's a
I
very
need all,
modest
believe
amount
it
of
or
tabs.
not, Listen, I have, at this point, I have different desktops for different aspects of my life. So it's not just the tabs. I have like 5 different desktops. It's a lot. Okay, so this is the document that I'm talking about. I will put the link to this document in the chat as well if folks want to visit. But for the most part, if you're on the Slack, you have access to this document. There's all the introductory stuff at the beginning, like our goals for this campaign. We want to produce 5 different pieces of civic education content in an attempt to influence at least 500 students. So for those that are just joining our campaign, that's the goal. We're going to create, the way that we're going about it is that we're going to start with a PowerPoint. But before we start with the PowerPoint, we need to know what goes on the PowerPoint. So we're really more so in the research phase of different parts of our curriculum topics that we've decided upon, so that they can go on a PowerPoint, so that they can then go into different pieces of social media. So if folks want to make an Instagram live video based on the stuff that's in the curriculum, or they wanted to make a TikTok, or they wanted to do something on Facebook, they would have a base for which to do that through the PowerPoint. So we scroll past all this introductory stuff that I really encourage everybody to look over because they have really great guiding questions. And I'm not just saying that because I wrote them. But then you scroll down and you'll see this table that has all of the curriculum topics. So ignore sections 1 and 2 because those sections are still up for debate. And these are just like, do we want to include them in the curriculum or not? But they're like broader things about civic education that folks might want to know about. But for now, sections 3, 4, and 5 are what we're focusing on. So when you look at this table, it looks complicated, but it's not. I'm going to walk you through it. There are sections to this curriculum. You'll see that we have something called Before You Vote. So what are all the things that people want to know before you vote? You'll see right under Before You Vote, who can vote. So we have, that's a curriculum topic. On this curriculum topic for who can vote, we have Daniel with Nathaniel and TT. So this team is already filled. If you want to join this team, again, if new people want to join this team, that's great. But I do encourage you to join teams that don't have 3 people in them at least. So who can vote is one of the curriculum topics. How do I get to the ballot box? That's another curriculum topic. As you can see, it's pretty empty here. It's just me and Kat. So if you want to join us, that would be really, really great. The next curriculum topic, how do I decide who to vote for? This team is also filled. We have Adam, who is on leadership, along with Meryl, who is also on leadership, with Kat and Shakina joining in on that. And then the last topic, curriculum topic under Before You Vote, is common misconceptions around voting. Kelly is all by herself here. Somebody come help her out. And then, if that's clear enough, we move into the second phase, which is while you vote. So these are things that these are curriculum topics that fit under what people should know while they're literally voting. So you'll see the curriculum topic is how to literally vote, with some guiding questions for each of these curriculum topics. On this team, we have Leah and Sumera. We need at least one more person on this team. Then we enter the third phase, which is after you vote. So you see it kind of goes in order: before you vote, while you vote, after you vote. In the section for after you vote, we have curriculum topics: what happens with your vote? How do I get other people to vote? And that's basically it. For what happens with your vote, we have Kakeli and Edward working on this curriculum topic. And for how do I get other people to vote, we have Meryl and Umar working on this topic. So right now, we're going to attempt to get some more people in these curriculum topics that only have 2 folks in them. So that's really, I can scroll up. Who is highlighting Edward? Who's that? So I can scroll up. And can I ask someone to let me know who decides to sign up for these sections, because I can't see everybody. at once. So who can vote? This section is filled up, but if anyone's interested, who would like to be working in this curriculum topic? Just give me a thumbs up. No? Okay, great. It's filled anyways. Who wants to join Kat in our really cool curriculum topic? How do I get to the ballot box? Come on, y'all. This is kind of a priority because there's only 2 folks in here. And this is like everything YVote is about. How do we get folks to the ballot box, at and beyond the ballot box? It's in our thing. It's in our mission statement. Bella, yes, welcome to the team. Yes, loving it. Awesome. I don't know why I didn't just type right now. Great. Okay. This one's pretty full. How do I decide who to vote for? I don't know if anyone wants to join that team of already 4 folks. Oh, you're leaving? Kat, are you in more than one? Is that why? Oh, you're going to join another one. Okay, that's cool. If you want to edit yourself out of these teams as well, you change your mind, that's completely fine. Okay. Anyone else for how do I decide who to vote for? Okay. So, common misconceptions around voting. Kat, awesome. Kat and who else? We need at least one more person in this team. So these are all the myths that folks have around voting. Oh, is there someone writing in the chat? Yeah, we're missing a lot of folks today.
I'll join. Sorry to interrupt. I'll join the common misconceptions around voting. That's okay.
Wait, who is that?
Samira.
Sumera.
Yay.
Okay. So.
And also, I think the penalty for missing a meeting is you get assigned and you don't have as much choice. So I say you feel free.
Sounds fair to me.
And we'll follow up with Adam and Isadora and Carla and Nathaniel and Baird and let them know. So maybe we could just think about where they fit best.
Well, lucky for Adam, Adam and Nathaniel have already decided things.
Okay.
So it's really going to be Isadora, Carla, Nathaniel, and Baird.
Yeah.
Isadora and Carla haven't really been active on the Slack or within our meeting, so I don't know if they're actually in this campaign. Baird as well.
I know Baird did signify he wanted to come back, and Carla emailed that she had hoped to be, texted that she wanted to be here today, but couldn't. I think she wants to do Civic Ed, but I'll check with her. Okay. And who is the other person? Isadora. I'm not sure about her though, so maybe hold off on assigning her to anything for now.
Okay. All right. So Kelly, I hope that you're not doing more than 3 curriculum topics. I feel like I'm seeing your name everywhere. But
Kelly's everywhere.
I would love to
like
see
overachievers.
Yeah, I would love to see another person to join what happens with your vote in the section for after you vote.
Hold on. Wait, Bella, did you want to join while you vote? The how to literally vote?
Yeah.
Because we should.
I didn't put you in there?
No, I don't see it. I can write it.
I put you for how do I get to the ballot box. Were you okay with that?
Yeah, but I can join too. So.
Okay. Leah, are you writing it in? Awesome. Okay.
Some people say that they can't see the document. I think, is it link shared or is it email shared?
I believe it's link shared, and I think because folks who are just joining are not on our Slack, they don't have access to the document. So let me just do this right now.
Open it up to anyone who has the link.
Yeah. Gonna copy that and put it in the chat.
Oh wait, it's still anyone at Yaya Network. Need to change.
Oh wow, really?
That's the default for all organizational things. It's super annoying. If anyone knows how to change that, it happens to me all the time.
Okay, anyone with the link. Save.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me copy that one more time. Now, how do I access the chat from here?
You probably have to click back into Zoom. Like when you're going between things, it gets confusing.
There should be a, like, if
I
you
got it.
hover
Found
over
it. I like that Zoom put it so that you can actually click the link again. Okay. So there's the link to the document. Folks should be able to access it. I think for the most part, everyone that's here is in at least 2 curriculum topics. We're just missing a few folks. Unfortunately, some of these curriculum topics still only have 2 people working on them. We can start off that way, but I would rather we have more folks. If anything,
should we consider though maybe narrowing that maybe some of these topics we just don't do for now if they don't have enough?
Of course. We can also decide during this time if we want to table some of these, we don't like some of these, we want to add more. That's also something we can talk about. But can I ask, for the most part, is this chart clear to folks, or should I just put it back in list form? I was just trying to make it a little bit more organized, but just because it works well in my brain doesn't mean it works well in yours. So is this chart clear to folks? So the breakdown of the curriculum topics? Yeah.
I have a question. Should I just get rid of Edward's name? Because he's not in our campaign.
This is also true. Like,
So
there's so many
I think Edwards is in the voter mobilization group, but I think he was here one time. So good catch, Kakeli.
Yes. But then does that leave you alone in another thing, Kakeli? Oh no.
But
Okay,
better
you know what,
to at least know that than to have the phantom figure.
Yeah, let me see if I am in more than one, because then otherwise I'm just gonna join you. Okay, I'm in one. Okay, I'm in one of these, so I'll join you, Kakeli.
Problem solved.
Okay. Cool. Okay, can I get a physical thumbs up or a yes from folks that are not with their cameras that this chart is clear to them? Okay, I'm looking at thumbs. Cat, I don't see a thumb, so I'm assuming that this is not clear. Oh yeah, it's clear, great. And Sumera, is this clear to you?
What was that, Divine?
Is this chart clear to you for like the curriculum?
Yeah, I sent the thumbs up. Maybe it didn't, but it is clear. It is clear.
Okay, awesome. I'm so glad I don't have to rework this. Okay, awesome. Okay, let me then stop sharing my screen. As soon as folks get on Slack, and I'm going to follow up with this directly after the meeting, so be on the lookout for that notification on the general channel. I'm going to give out the emails so that you can contact the person that's in your team. And by Friday, I want folks to put inside the Slack who their point person is on that team and what form of communication they've decided upon. Does that make sense? Yeah, just for accountability purposes, and to make sure that we're getting off the ground with this research, because I think like this is it. Like after this, we're just gonna start. So I'm trying to make it so that the foundation is as solid as it possibly can be, and that folks feel like there's one person that's going to be reporting back on the work that's being done, and that so that y'all can communicate on Slack.
Can we vote right now? Like yes or no? Thumbs.
Yeah, I'm looking at all of y'all. Yeah, and Kat, you're gonna write in the chat your vote. And for folks that I can't see, Samara, what's your vote?
We can also, because they're not like big groups, you can like just do a direct message between the four of them. So you don't have to set up a whole channel. Kat, is that what you were saying? Yeah. So if you go to direct messages on Slack and you do the plus sign, you can add up to 7 people, which is like less than the, yeah. So I think that's what you should do for that.
That is amazing. And that also means that I don't have to share emails, and I can just accept your invite on Slack. Was someone saying something? Okay, Shakina, what's your vote on this? Shakina, are you with us?
Shakina, if you're trying to talk, you're muted.
Oh, okay, no worries. We're just deciding if folks need a separate place on Slack to communicate with their curriculum team.
I feel like the Slack is fine as long as people check their messages. I feel like that would be the biggest problem if people don't check their messages and there's no communication between group members.
I think what we
Right.
should do, I think what we should do is like if no one checks their message after like 3 days, you can tag them on Slack and then that way they'll get an email notification.
Yeah, I tag people all the time on Slack. I don't even wait. I just make sure that you get it. But I think Daniel, you mentioned in our meeting that you wanted to also have folks' email just in case Slack is not the best form of communication with them. So I guess I actually will share folks' email so that you can get in contact with your team along with Slack. So you have a contingency plan. Okay, great. Love that that's been decided. Um, so if we're all willing and ready, we're going to move forward to deciding some of these deadlines for getting in some of this research, because otherwise we'd be doing research forever and we would never know when to stop. Um, so we've broken up these deadlines in the leadership team into two parts. And please feel free to let us know if this makes sense. If you feel like there should be another form of getting these deadlines in, please let us know. Please say so. But we've broken it up into two parts: a research deadline and a synthesis deadline. So a deadline for which you would gather some research for your curriculum topic. When you visit the centralized PowerPoint document, you'll notice under each of your curriculum topics, there are guiding questions to help kick you off with your research. So like the deadline for your research would be, have we answered some of these questions via our research? And those questions are not the end all be all. If you feel like there's more that goes under there to guide you in your research, please feel free. So that's one of the deadlines. Deadlines for gathering research to answer some of those guiding questions for your curriculum topic and beyond. Then there is a synthesis deadline. You've done all this research. What does this mean and how do you communicate it in a form that young people can understand? Remember that we are building a curriculum that's going to be sent out to everybody that needs anything, that needs civic education. And a lot of our audience is young folks. So something that's written on the New York Times or at the page of the DOE page might not be as easy to understand. So how do you synthesize this information so that it's easier for young folks to understand? And do you also understand the information yourself? What is this article, what is this piece of information telling you about your specific curriculum topic? So there's a deadline to get all of that done as well. Does that make sense? Can I get a thumbs up? Awesome. Do folks feel like there should be more aspects to this or? No? Okay. So with the research deadline, which is basically answering some of these guiding questions that are underneath your curriculum topic, plus anything else that you can think of, what are folks feeling is doable? Not without even looking at these guiding questions. Just thinking back to the topic that you've decided to sign up for, and also thinking realistically and honestly about your capacity in this very trying time. What can be a deadline for getting some of this research done?
I could go off on a limb and say like 3 weeks, but knowing that 2 of those 3 weeks, I might not be able to really focus on this because I'll be focusing on like other work. But like the 3 weeks for me, like the last week of the third week would kind of be like the sweet spot between like when I'm finally like just done with APs and then like when finals are gonna start. So
I was going to say that I think that like maybe um we can kind of do it based on our differing schedules. Like I was thinking that like some people who are really like who have time now, like in between, like since APs are just finishing right now, like in between right now and finals, like they could be take a lead in like researching, and then someone who has more time later, during like maybe like for me like I have like after like maybe like during like makeup APs when other people are making up their APs, like they could be more focused on like making the actual content because a lot of times like the content doesn't really take that much time and I don't know.
I like that idea of breaking it up into capacity, Meryl. Keep in mind that we're not yet working on content, but I do see that with like research deadline versus synthesis deadline. Someone wrote, I think Kat, you wrote in the chat that you can do most of the research aspect of it by next week. That's really quick, but you're right, synthesis would take longer. So if you do have time now, maybe in your team, if you do have a person on your team that has the capacity to do research now, while another member of your team can take the leadership on doing the synthesis aspect of these deadlines. Does that make sense? Sorry, just reading what's in the chat. Sumera, we haven't set any deadlines yet. We're trying to do that now. To the centralized working doc? Okay.
I think that June 16th or the next like general meeting sounds like an okay time. I think because most people are saying that the bulk of things are because of APs and then finals. I think there's like a certain amount of time within there that you can break it up. Also, if we have it kind of if we have a leaders meeting in like the middle, then it can be like this checkpoint to see if we actually need all that time or if we need even more time. So I think that would be like a good time frame.
Okay. How do folks feel about that? Great. So leadership meeting as halfway point to June 16th deadline for getting research done. Okay. Okay. And since synthesis comes much later down the line, do we want to come up with a deadline for that now, or do we want to see where we are at with the research and then come up with a deadline for synthesis?
I think we should wait down the line to see where we're at, because we didn't, I don't know, I think it's just better.
Sumera, you got cut off a little bit.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, I think we should wait and
Samara, it looks like you went on mute in the middle of talking by mistake. You are muted if you are speaking.
I felt that. I often have to shush my brothers.
Brothers.
Honestly. Okay, well, I think we got the gist of what you were saying, Samara, which is to wait and see. How do folks feel about that? Thank y'all so much for keeping up with these thumbs ups, by the way.
The thing is, oh, sorry. I feel like it's different for each group. Like, the YouTube video, like if we were to do a YouTube video, that would be like inherently different and like different timeline than doing like a TikTok. Right? And so like I think for some people like, oh, you might be able to get the information really quickly, or like for a YouTube video you might need to have like a lot of information. But then for like a TikTok, even if when you're halfway done, you can make like you can use half of that for TikTok already. Or like or that half might be too much for one TikTok. So you just make one TikTok with like quarter of the information, and like, you know, you have the time, so like why not do it, right? And so like I think we should really be like looking at like, okay, who is in charge of like, we should like designate different people for like being in charge of like information, and different like people who are in charge of synthesis, because I know that not everyone wants to go behind the camera, not everyone has like the skills to do really great editing. Some people are more like analytical focused. So like if we could really utilize like the different strengths of people's the team, and then also like the fact that so many people are like on different timelines right now, and like really have like designate different people for leaders. But I think that like if we do choose that, then that would kind of mean that like the fact that if we would have different deadlines for synthesis, I think then like after we get all the information, then everyone can kind of be like on the same side of synthesis. Like then everyone will be officially on a synthesis, but I think it will be okay if some
Sanda. I think Zoe is waiting in the main room because her computer died. She just wants to be added again.
Sorry for missing that. Thank you for the heads up. I was ensconced in your Google Doc. I lost track of looking at my screen. Sorry, Zoe.
Good job, guys, by the way. Sanda's going to talk about some of the other organizations that are interested in our work now. So you can stop, take a breather, and just listen up to Sanda.
Well, yeah, briefly. I don't want to stop good work from happening, but just wanted to mention that there is a ton of interest in the work that you're doing in this vein. I've mentioned it in a couple meetings over the last couple weeks, and everyone was like, we want to see their work. Like, we want to use that work both in New York State. So there's a Let New York Vote coalition that I've mentioned to y'all. And they recognize both that the work that you're doing is really valuable to young people, but also for all people, because everybody is really confused about what's happening. What's that show? Are You Smarter Than an Eighth Grader? Like, anything that is going to be engaging to teens is going to be engaging to anyone. So they're really excited. So even though we won't have things finished, if there's things in this Google Doc that I can share with them, and they also might be able to have good ideas. So feel free to put things in the Google Doc. Like, let's say you have an idea in your head, but you have no idea how you would operationalize it. Like, think big, because there might be designers or videographers or people who would sign on to help with that and to partner with us. So that's from the New York perspective. But then I also mentioned it on a call last week for something called the When We All Vote Coalition. Has anyone heard of this or seen their stuff? So they're huge, like in terms of like numbers, in part because their co-chair is Michelle Obama, so that helps. And they partner with like DJ, like just really big people. Some of their other co-chairs, I think Janelle Monáe is a co-chair. So they're like the celebrity sort of folks. Honestly, I think a lot of what they do is a little superficial because it's so much about numbers. So they'll have these couch parties and they'll say like, we texted 200,000 people. And I'm not entirely sure like what those texts do. Marcella, do you want to say any more about them? Do you know any more?
I don't really know. Like, what I know is like what you just said.
Yeah. But they're like good at branding, but they do actually have huge reach in terms of the folks in their database. So one thing that they've recently started is like a When We All Vote school edition. So they have educators come together every 2 weeks. That is a much smaller meeting. Like, I go to their main ones, and then I also went to the educator one last week, which was, I don't know, less than a dozen people. But they're trying to really ramp up the work that they're doing with young people. So they were super excited to hear about this. So that, just because of who they have access to, I was like, well, if we share it with you, can you share it with Michelle Obama? Because we'd really like Michelle Obama to tweet about our work. So no promises there, but it is sort of like 2 degrees from big people. So no pressure, but opportunity there.
And can you say a little more about YVote? Because I said it briefly, but I think there's more to say because a lot of people still they're not sure about it. So they want to hear more.
Yeah. So our partnership with YVote is just like, this was in response to like, how do we really mobilize people, especially because we're not seeing each other in person. So like the cool thing about YVote is, so they have this campaign based on like what we talked about of recruiting 3 people, where you can then start a team. So basically like you recruit 3 people to recruit 3 people to recruit 3 people. It's this like what we talk about the multiplier effect, the YVote multiplier effect. But like a nice thing that they have is that they have different incentives and prizes. So like each time you get new people to commit to voting and getting other people to vote, you become eligible for different raffles. And like that probably, I mean, not that you guys don't like that, like who doesn't like free stuff, but it's maybe not as important as a motivator for you who are already inherently interested in this stuff, but you can probably think of people for whom that sweetens the deal. Now, obviously we're not wanting people to sign up to vote or to vote just to be eligible for stuff. But if it like makes them take a little bit more time to like read something and then they're like, this is cool, like I should do this. And so it just gets over the barrier to like not knowing, you know, why to vote or not making the 5 minutes to do it. It could be valuable that way. And the other thing that's cool is that through them, you can set up your own page. So like you can have it look like what you want and then just like use it as a place to compile and keep track of people who you're talking to. I'll also like bridge from that. So like that's one idea if we're interested. We'd also, I think in this group talked about what they call like relational canvassing, which is, and there's a couple apps that do this, where basically you sign on to the app. So there's one called YVote, and it asks, can we have access to all of your contacts? But don't worry, it's not like, I don't think it's taking your contacts, but it creates basically like a form text so that you could send everybody, you know, the person who you went to camp with 10 years ago and family members and various people, a standardized message, which you can then customize, but you don't necessarily have to, that says like, hey, the primary is coming up. Are you registered to vote? Like if you want to check on your registration, you can do so here. If you want to check on or change your registration, you can do so here. If you're like not sure what to do, you can do so here. And that might be what we populate about the what to do. So these are things just to sort of help in scaling without it being too time intensive through partnering with these organizations who have already set up some of the online components. Any questions about any of that?
Do you guys want to do MotiVote now that we got a little better explanation?
Or
Go ahead.
experiment with it. Like it doesn't have to be a huge commitment.
It doesn't have to be everybody, right? Like I said earlier, it can be some of you.
I'm like most interested in the idea of making a website, which I've already said, but yeah.
Oh, Sandra wasn't here for the website, so why don't you guys tell her about the idea, Frank and Zoe?
Well, I don't really know that much about it, but like, I know like some stuff about web design, and like I could, you know, make it look pretty.
Wait, what is the website for? Like to get people to vote?
Yeah.
It's gonna be like our campaign website.
Well, could we use part of the YVote website and just like you could have a dedicated area?
I don't know, maybe, but I feel like it'd be better if we made like a separate website, because I feel like if it was still on the YVote website, you know, I don't know, I feel like it should more be like a general, like, you know, separate.
Or it could be like a backslash YVote dot the website and then backslash our link.
If it's a separate website, we can like send it. I feel like we can send it like more widespread without seeming like self-promo. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I agree with Shoshana. That's what I was
it's
thinking.
more like we can send it to like anyone without seeming like weird.
So what would you want to call the website?
Maybe like, I don't know, like quarantine vote. Like
But I guess I'm not understanding why you wouldn't want it to just be like YVote ny.org /quarantine vote, and people could go directly to that website.
Yeah, it won't.
I don't think we need to hide that it's from like YVote, because we're not.
Yeah, no, that'd be fine.
Yeah, I think that's fine to have
it feels like consistent with our.
I think they thought that we would have to just send the YVote and then they would have to click, but
no.
That you can put the backslash. That's why I
totally. Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. See, no, it's really cool. Like, well, we use WordPress for our website, which is super easy to use. So any of you could get in there and just like do it yourself if you wanted to. And then you can go directly there through the link, and it can be like very discreet. So it doesn't need to look anything like the rest of the YVote website.
I was gonna say that, right?
Yeah, you can like have your own design scheme, but the benefit is like we do get some traffic, and then it can both increase traffic that we get to the site, the sub-site that you create. But that said, part of the reason I say that is that in one of our other programs, a program that Frank is part of for Next Gen Politics, we have students who started a website through Squarespace, and they're doing a great job, but it's like much more work intensive than they realized to start a new site. It's the Trauma Informed Prosecution.
Oh, they presented for
Yeah.
I saw their presentation.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by the work that they've done. But in retrospect, they're like, wow, we didn't really fully know what we were getting into.
Mm-hmm. What was the site for?
It's for it's to create knowledge. They want to both build knowledge and then do workshops for schools and prosecutors and social workers on how to do prosecution differently, taking trauma into account.
And they could have done this as part of the NGP website?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, we didn't really think about doing it. I mean, if they had wanted to, I certainly would have made it available. It wouldn't be as directly connected. But I think, like, Squarespace, if anyone has used it, it is valuable in that it's drag and drop. But there's still, anytime you're working with a new website, there's a lot of content to create and design choices to think about. And so trying to simplify it so that you can just focus on, like, content and, like, what you want to do, and not get too tied up in some of the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to. Like, I mean, I do think it was good experience and they've learned a lot through it. So.
Anybody else want to chime in about it? I've heard a lot from Frank and Shoshana and Zoe. Maybe Tiffany.
And just a question, since I wasn't here earlier, would this site be like where you house, what's being called the pamphlet, like all the content?
Yeah. I guess we're just saying pamphlet now, but it's just really whatever format for.
Yeah, we're just.
Whatever distribution method.
So we'll just have pamphlet in quotes. I was saying, I was like, how would we hand out a pamphlet these days? But I assumed it was going to be online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
and I also spoke about the video that you suggested.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, once you figure out what content you want, like, having a version that, like, lives online, but also of y'all talking about it. And that was partly those other groups that I mentioned. They definitely seemed, sort of like eager to help distribute a video. And thanks to Yessie having much better YouTube skills than I do. Like, we often like post video, but it doesn't have captions. And I read some statistic that like 80% of people watch Instagram with the sound off. So then, it loses all the richness. But I think that we'll be able to start like closed captioning video, which means that you could make your video, but we could also have captions for it. So, people would be able to see it, not just hear it.
Coming soon.
Like, if we put the video on the website, how, like, if you read an article, usually there'll be a video with the same article.
And it just starts?
Yeah, like right above the article. So
I think that would be super cool, Zoe. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And it just caters, like, we know we all have different, like, learning styles. Like, I really like to read sometimes more than I like to watch videos, but most people aren't that way. And so having the video option is good.
Well, I also think, like, right now I'm working on like just the timeline for like what elections have been postponed, canceled, absentee ballots, all that. There's so much. But I was like also thinking, like, this isn't like I don't think we were hoping to make this like a how do you say, like a non-interactive like website. So I was thinking, like, if we had like interactive features for my section, I was thinking like at first, like, maybe we could put a calendar, you like hover over it, or like a map of the United States, and then you hover over each state and it tells you what happened in the election in that state, or like who won that election in the case of like states that have already held it. And I found a website that lets you do that with a US map. I haven't played around with it yet, but I imagine that you could probably
put it in the chat or in the Google Doc. That's super cool.
I don't know if this idea is like, I don't know, but like, I was thinking maybe after you register or something, there could be like some sort of like confetti effect, like, how like.
I love that. Like on your phone when you send certain texts, congratulations, and it comes out.
Yeah, because even though it's like literally like not that much, it's not like a reward. People like to feel like they're getting congratulated. So I feel like after you register, if there's like a cute little like confetti thing and it's like congratulations,
I think that's a brilliant idea.
All right, so in a few minutes, we have to explain to the group what we have been doing. So why not talk about what you guys have been doing right now?
It'll be a lot easier this time.
Think about like, talk to them, but think about like, how can they be a focus group for you? Like, are there things that you're trying to, figure out or want to like know what the market would be, or like what's clear, what's not clear, what's most compelling? So it's like both bringing them aboard so that they can help and be champions for your work, but also so that they can be critical friends for it. If there's something that you're really missing or just like isn't going to work.
The DNC party convention was canceled. Not canceled, postponed.
When was it supposed to be? I actually hadn't heard that yet.
I think it was supposed to be in
August?
July. It was supposed to be in July, and now it's been postponed to August. But I'm looking for details because that's interesting.
Well, I think they're probably having magical thinking that they're going to be able to do it in person because it's like big money. I mean, big money. In addition to it's better to be in person, but honestly, money is, I think, one of the motivators there.
Oh, it's been pushed back. It was supposed to be in mid-July, but now it's been pushed back to August 17th. And the Republican primary was going to be in late August anyway. So that, well, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but.
Well, they've got more time.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I was curious because I was reading about the New York election. So I know you just said at the beginning of the session that, you know, Judge Torres, reinstated the election, but I heard that the state is also planning on filing an appeal to that. So
what I heard today is that either that appeal was turned down or they rescinded it. But again, things could change. But on the call today, it sounded like the breaking news today was that it's full steam ahead. That it's not stopped at this point.
This is correct information. I'm going off of this. I think this New York Times article that has all of it compiled. So.
When was it dated? Like, that's what's so crazy. I mean, literally, if it's not time-stamped like noon today, it could be outdated.
It's not dated. I think it's one of those. I think it's one of those where they just keep on adding to it as like time passes. But on top it says May 5th. So.
Yeah, that was accurate as of May 5th, but I think as of May 19th, it's on.
Oh my God, May 5th was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. May 5th, it was definitely like very much in question, but. But again, you know, like as if we didn't have enough problems, like if we don't know, and by the way, the people who leading this Let New York Vote coalition, we're all talking about how they're confused. Like these are like the most knowledgeable people and they're confused. So just like your average Joe and Jane voter.
They're not gonna know, so.
And one of the things, I don't know if you guys have talked about it, that I think is really confusing for people is like if you request an absentee ballot, does that mean that you can't, I mean, I know the answer to this, but like, I would feel like if I didn't know, I would think, well, does that mean I can't go in person? And like, what if I request the absentee ballot and then I lose it or it doesn't come out or the day of I decide I really want to go to my polling place because like, that's really important to me, but have I negated my ability to do it? And then also like vice versa, might people not request an absentee ballot because they're worried that they wouldn't be able to go in person when they might want to, but then it turns out they're not able to go and they don't have the absentee ballot. So I think clarifying that and you know, the answer is, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like you can get an absentee ballot and order it. And then if you go and vote in person, that overrides the absentee ballot.
Also, I have a few more questions. Is in the context of the coronavirus, is there now a difference between mail-in voting, like a mail-in ballot and an absentee ballot? Because I know before absentee ballot was like if you're not in the state, you can still vote that way. But like now, I've just been reading those terms interchangeably, basically.
Yes, that is a great question for us to talk about. So the answer is I think this was one of Cuomo's executive orders. So now, like New York in general, to get an absentee ballot, you have to have an excuse. And now you don't need an excuse. Like,
and they're telling. He also, I'm writing about this right now for my like section of
the cool. Tell us more, Shoshana.
He said that he like every like county board of elections has to mail absentee ballots to all eligible voters regardless of if they've been like active or inactive. And you can also apply for one to like, I don't know, if you have like a different address than what you think they have for you. So obviously we'll put that in our pamphlet in whatever form that comes in. So I'm typing that up right now. And we also, they said to just put down what you're supposed to do. Well, you don't need to like put down anything. You don't like need the excuse, but all the websites I've been on have said to put down like temporary illness to do it.
Oh, so
yeah, that makes sense.
That's an important point. So you have to say, you actually have to check temporary illness.
It's also very interesting that we're sending it out to all voters. Because I was just writing about how Georgia is only sending it out to active voters. I think they specified active voters. So I mean, 6.9 million is still a lot of active voters, but that is interesting.
It's a real issue. I mean, we probably don't have time to go off on that, but that's a real issue. Like Georgia is an extreme example, but it's not the only one. And you know, we should think like, do we believe that people have to earn the right to vote? And so if you don't vote, that you lose the right to vote, or you know, do we think it should always be like preserved for you regardless? Like that's an interesting question to think about. And so I think this pandemic is actually surfacing that. And there have been other examples where people are pushed off the rolls because they haven't voted a certain amount of time. And we can say that that's voter suppression, but we can also say that that's like accountability. And, you know, in anything, if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's an interesting thing to think about. Like, would people take it more seriously? You know, like there's this term, I don't know if there's like AP psychology, but like there's about like loss aversion, that people are they much more like, we think that we are more motivated by incentives, but in fact we're often more motivated by like loss. And so there's some folks who say, well, if people run the risk of losing the vote, they're going to go out and vote more than if it's just always there and it's not worth anything. Anyway, that could be something interesting to discuss in the future.
I know on the right there's like quite a discussion over like whether, like I've heard arguments on the right about how like voting is supposed to be like an inconvenience, hence the reason why we should not have an election day. Because like because I always wonder like, why not have an election day? Like it's always good to hear the arguments against. And it's like, if you can't be bothered to like take a day off work or to like take a day off to vote, to exercise your right, which it is your right, not a privilege, then like, you know, should you really be like voting at all? If you like, I think the idea is that it demonstrates it's like an extent of like civic virtue.
And you're committed.
Yeah. Which I mean, I guess is a valid point. I don't know, it was just interesting. Also, another thing I found out is that a lot of the states that are holding like in-person primaries, whenever the new date is going to be, are holding them for people without a permanent address and the disabled, which is interesting. Because I don't know why the disabled would choose to vote in person.
I would think it would be harder to vote if you're disabled in a pandemic.
Exactly, like in person. Like I think 2 states so far that I researched. Maryland and it was Maryland and another state that.
And Frank, are you saying that their only option is in person if they're disabled, or just that it's only that you can only do that if you're disabled? Like if you're able-bodied, you're not able to.
No. Oh, it's Maryland and Ohio. They're keeping polling places open specifically for people they're encouraging, or not encouraging, but they're keeping them open as an option for people who are disabled or don't have a permanent address. And I understand the permanent address part because obviously you can mail in your ballot without permanent address, but it doesn't make sense for the disabled to come in to vote. Oh, I guess I'm thinking about like
maybe certain kinds of disabilities.
Yeah, not physical disability. I guess like mental or like reading disability. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, if you need someone's assistance. Okay. So this has been really interesting research so far.
Okay, I'm gonna go check in with the other group. How much more time do y'all need or want in this in the campaign group?
I think we're good. We just need to discuss briefly what we're gonna tell the other group.
Okay, do that now.
Yeah.
Check in with them.
Use the first piece of information that they get and how they stick onto it, which means that basically look out for like articles that bombard you that you have to be aware of in your research, because things of that nature, like the less information that supports a conclusion that an author or researcher might make, the less useful it is going to be to like your research overall, because it means that it's less likely to be useful, as people might view it as biased, or people might not trust the source since it's only reliant on like one piece of information. another bias here is the seventh one, the confirmation bias, and how people only listen to information that like confirms preconceptions. And that's something that's like really important in our digital world, where like most of your feeds are used, all of your feeds are like, what happens is that they attune it to your previous searches and things of that nature, so that you constantly see more and more of only the things that you're interested of. And that's something which you also have to look out for as you're researching too. So like if you're using Google and you're trying to use a source that like would normally fall out of like, let's say like your political range, something that's useful is to just like go in incognito and search, because like Google will be less likely to mess up your search with putting up what they would consider like the most logical or the most reliable sources according to like your taste and like what you previously searched for. And I guess you can go through like this sheet on your own time since we have so little time. So like the next sheet.
Thank you so much, Kakali. Sanda,
I love this, Kakeli.
how much time do we have left? Because Kakali has like 2 more documents.
That is, how long do we think that will take? The other group is pretty much ready and eager to engage with you guys, but they can definitely go back and do some stuff. How long does your group want?
How long do you need, Kakali?
Like these are some like really basic things, so I feel like 4 or 5 more minutes would suffice.
And is that the last thing when Kakeli finishes?
Yep, the last part is just Daniel reporting back, which is the second part of our agenda.
So could we say 6:35? And have you guys talked about how you want to share and what you want to share with the other group?
I think we have. Daniel, you feel comfortable doing that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long, well, partly to get more time, how much time do you want or need to share with the other group?
Well, maybe 5 minutes to just basically say what's happening, and then.
Oh, okay. If it's that short, yeah, then so like 7 minutes more. Do you guys want?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I'll let the other team know. So 6:38, but I'm holding you to it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sanda.
No
All right.
problem.
Let me pull up this second thing, and let me actually pull up the third thing as well.
To the field, to the group.
So like feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds
You guys,
good.
the other group wants another 7 minutes. So you can go back to your research or whatever. And how much time do you want to share with them? Like initially we were giving you more time than we're going to have. They said they like 5 or 10 minutes will be fine for them.
Yeah, 5 minutes is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have another 5 minutes to work on this before we'll come back. Then each of your teams will get to share out, and then we'll close with talking about YVote summer opportunities and save summer, what's it called, Jesse? Youth funding, and a little bit of advocacy we're hoping you'll do, and any other announcements you want to make.
Okay.
Yessie, did you get my text?
Yes, I did. Thank you. You can share with the whole group. You don't have to send it to me privately. We're all working together.
Okay, so I was doing research on the deadlines for the state primary and federal dates, and I added the dates and I added the link where I got it from. When we're presenting, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's so loud where I am.
No problem. If you prefer just to type it, it doesn't matter.
When we're presenting, am I gonna share out those dates that I found?
I mean, we're just presenting to the group what we have done right now. So if you want to give a little spiel of what you've done, or just how this will add to our pamphlet in a way. I just want people to interact more, and we have more voices other than me, Frank, Zoe, and Shoshana. So I would love to hear anybody. but you can continue your research, or you can read other people's research right now, actually, and see what other people have found, just to give you a break off of looking at your own research. Maybe do some editing or like comment on it, say how cool you think someone research was or something that you didn't know. If you don't know where the comment feature is, I believe you just, it's on the top with the little, it's like a text box with a plus sign on the top of the Google Doc. I can just show it. And I just want to say that I did the Slack. So if you're not on the Slack, I would really love that you guys get on the Slack. I've been texting you guys because I haven't heard too much from the Slack. Slack actually doesn't give you automatic notifications, so you have to manually put on your notifications. So I just wanted to let you know about that. I'll link the Slack as well on the chat. But do you guys all have Slack now or no? You can type in the chat yes or no if you.
I think I know where the confusion was coming from. I think I was on the Slack for the other group, and so I was getting their notifications.
Oh, that explains it, because they said that you were in the other Slack, and I was like, TT is in the voter mobilization group.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I wasn't getting the notifications for you guys.
Oh, I never sent that link. Maybe they sent you the link by mistake.
They did. I think. So sorry, TT, for that confusion, and sorry, Esty. But I think now we can get it cleared up.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'm gonna just show you guys if you want to comment on people's research.
Ooh, sorry, unrelated, but is the Tokyo Olympics still happening?
I don't think so.
It's postponed.
Oh wait, there should totally be Zoom Olympics. Wouldn't that be fascinating? What would we want our categories to be? Like jumping over the sofa.
This is the comment feature. If you guys don't know, you just press this, and then you can type whatever you want to type on someone's, and press comment.
So
you can put comments if you're a little tired of researching right now on other people's research, just so you can motivate others in a way. So yeah, this is the comment feature right here, and I appreciate you guys doing the research. I think this was a good idea, especially for the leaders when we get to go through your research and see what we're gonna use and get back to you on that, and what we're gonna put on the website eventually.
Okay, I'm gonna send a.
Oh, the Olympics have been delayed by a year. Jeez.
Wait, is it next summer that they're saying?
I'm reading I'm still reading the Democratic, the DNC being postponed, but I want to see. Oh, it's been officially postponed to 2021. Yes.
Interesting. Do you? I don't know if it says it, but I'm curious. Well, does that just mean that they'll do the next Olympics 3 years after that, or would they like push it?
Oh, that's interesting.
I guess they'll just make them closer together. I don't think they'd change the whole Olympic schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be nice to have like the Olympics one year and the World Cup the next year. I mean, I guess that's something to look forward to.
Assuming that all happens.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know that 2024 is going to be in Paris. It's exciting. All right. Okay, this is the full list.
We have 1 minute left. Just so we summarize the topics that I'm gonna discuss with the general meeting. so basically, I'm gonna talk about creating 5 different pieces of media.
So this is our goal. You'll tell them what our goal is. You'll tell them what our step-by-step is, which is research for the PowerPoint, creating the PowerPoint, creating the media. And you'll tell them what our curriculum topics are. If you don't have the document open for that, I'll just tell them what the curriculum topics are, and we're just basically getting feedback from folks about what our campaign is. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Are y'all ready if I bring us back?
Yep, just in time.
Oops, I think I just sent Meryl to the wrong move.
Meryl is no longer in a group, by the way. I don't know where Meryl went.
She, I think her phone must have dropped. And we're back.
Oh, Meryl, there you are.
Yeah, sorry, my parents called me.
Okay.
How dare parents interrupt YVote during dinner time? Please thank all of your parents for letting. It was one thing when we pulled you away, but you were like physically not with them, and we were serving you pizza. Now we pull you away, and we don't do any of that stuff. So there you go. But we are saving democracy, so you can mention that to them. That's a consolation prize. Okay, which campaign would like to share out first? The overwhelming enthusiasm is deafening.
I guess voter mobilization can share first.
Thank you, voter mobilization.
All right. So today we finally finalized our plans for, or at least worked up a concrete plan for what we're going to do. And so after a discussion, after a presentation about the questions that we're going to try to answer, because we figured that voters are going to be very confused, have been and are going to be very confused about when primaries are going to be held, or what's been happening to election days, as we discussed at the beginning of the session, and what questions they might have when it comes to registering to vote or voting. We decided that we're going to create a website which we've been calling a pamphlet that is going to display all this information, and I think we're still deciding on plans as to how this website is going to be formatted, like to what degree it's going to be interactive, whether it's going to incorporate video. But I just want to go over some of the questions that we're going to be answering. Unless someone else wants to do that, I don't want to speak for all of this. Nope. All right. So I'll just
pick on someone. Just pick on someone so they can go ahead, because everybody knows the questions.
Shoshana, go ahead.
She just unmuted herself. I think she's gonna go.
Sorry. I was just my mom just called me. What am I supposed to be saying?
Just discuss the questions that we have outlined.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we have a lot of questions, and I think a lot of people, at least I have taken the topic that I was assigned and kind of broke it down a little more. So we have some stuff about how the people who are reading this can, get their absentee ballots specifically for New York's plan that we were talking about. That's good information. We can provide actual links for them to get their absentee ballots, and that's just very direct action. We have some questions that are more factual, what was the plans last schedule in New York before the pandemic started, and how have those changed? And then we have some others that are a little more opinionated, looking at the different sides of it. Do we know what's happening to how our voices are being heard, and how do we predict essential workers, the attitude of essential workers through the pandemic and things like that. I think we cover a lot of good bases. We have some information about how participating in the voting process, a lot of dates about primaries being canceled, so that people can kind of stay up to date about what's happening around the country as well. That's basically what we have.
Excellent.
Anybody else wants to chime in?
And we can also, there's still time for anyone in the voter mobilization campaign to share, but this is also a good time for anyone from civic education to raise questions about what you heard, what you didn't hear, what you want to know more about.
I'm kind of curious about the part about anticipating the reactions. Oh, sorry. Never mind. Someone's calling me.
But that's still, you don't mean never mind the question. The question still holds.
I think she said.
Okay. Never mind. That was just some random person calling me. Okay. So I was saying that I'm curious about what you were raising about essential workers and anticipating their reactions. I'm just a little confused about what the plan is moving forward about their reactions. I don't think I understood that part that much.
I'll answer, and Shoshana could answer as well because we're the ones researching it, or anybody else. So we're basically researching what people expect after the pandemic. Is essential workers will be treated better or worse, or like how much of it will be highlighted based on like these strikes that they're doing. We're trying to,
especially because so much of New York City and like probably the people that we will be accessing either are or know essential workers, I feel like is a pretty relevant topic.
yeah, and we want to shed light on them because a lot of people will forget about them again, unfortunately, when this goes down. So we want to make that one of our focuses inside in the website, so that people still know that we care about that. And like Makata said, increasing the federal minimum wage and a hazard pay, sort of advocating and like seeing what both perspectives want or are envisioning for them. And if one side or the other side is not envisioning anything, just putting those opinionated articles and seeing what we analyze from them. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. That's great.
Any more feedback about our website? Like, what do you guys think we should have on it?
Ooh, how are you making it? Are you making it via Wix or is this going on the YVote website?
We're doing YVote because we want to make sure it's there, but we'll have a backslash.
I was going to say it'll have its own separate area and its own book, so it'll have, like its color scheme, and they'll go crazy.
Very cute. Love it.
Yeah, so that it's we're trying to make it as interactive. Did Frank mention that we're doing the map thing? Do you want to mention that, Frank?
Yeah, so I was working on just like a timeline of what states have postponed their elections, like what the deal is with like primaries going on across the country. And so I just thought it'd be really cool for us to like have an interactive map of the United States with like, if you hover over each state, it tells you like whether whoever won that primary, primary results, if that has already happened. And also like what, whether like the election in that state has been like postponed to what date, how it's going to be conducted, whether it's going to be mail-in or in person, etc. So I think that should be a very cool detail for us to have on the site.
And when's the last day to like register to vote? So it's easy to navigate, and it's very we're focusing on our audience, which are youth, and youth love these interactive things. I still love it. So I would love to see that come to light. So good idea, Frank, by the way. Oh, we're also thinking about a video as well. Sanda mentioned that there's a lot of learning methods, and I think that's very important in our age where we go to school and we're expected sometimes to just be taught in one certain way, and sometimes we can't retain information based on that because our learning strategies are different. So we want to keep that in mind for our audience.
It's crazy what you were just saying, Jesse, because I had to write an essay about that and talking about how different people learn different ways. And like some people do say that this online schooling is beneficial to them, but some students are struggling because they have lack of resources. And so that's amazing.
So true. So true. This pandemic is making that even clearer, but at least from our end, we're going to make sure to have multiple modalities as this group shares. Amazing. For time, we're going to move on to the civic ed group. Thank you, voter mobilization. Really excited about what you're doing. Great progress.
Hi, so I'm going to talk to you about the plans that we are sticking to with the civic ed. Basically, we will be creating, well, our plan is divided into 3 stages. First stage, its deadline is basically June 16th. Yeah, and it will be a research stage. Basically, we get all the information, uh, explore different sources, whatever we need, and then we will be creating a general PowerPoint that will be answering many of the questions and will be basically the main source of information that will go into curriculum and basically will allow us to go into the third stage, which is creating the media. TikTok, Instagram, whatever we come up with, which will be used for civic education. And we will be answering, specifically right now, we're working on a few questions that will be answered in the PowerPoint. First question and first section of the question is basically before you vote. And the questions are, who can vote? How do I get to the ballot box? And how do I decide who to vote for? And basically, we just created a separate section for common misconceptions around voting. Then the second section of the questions is while you vote, and what happens during when you are basically in the ballot box. And the questions are how to literally vote, what happens with your vote,